Thank you, snowboarding.
Thank you, snowboarding.
Hey friends, how are you? My name is Chris Cracknell. You are listening to Thank You Snowboarding, the podcast that is everything to do with UK snowboarding culture and history. I hope you're doing all right. We do this with our good friends at the Snowboard Asylum. A bit more about what they're up to at the end of the show. But if you need anything for your snowboarding trip or your snowboarding experience, whether that's on dry slope, at the domes or out in the mountains, then give those guys a shout. They've got more experience and knowledge than you need. Go and see them. So yeah, how you doing out there? I hope you're all well. Quite an interesting week. Obviously, I don't know if you follow the X Games, but if you don't, then why don't you? Mia Brooks winning gold in the slopestyle, which must make her look like a good bet for the Olympics. And she also took home bronze in the big air, which I'd say is quite interesting. And maybe we'll do a separate thing about that completely. Let's talk about this week. This week, my guest is Owain George, a teen local. He does coaching with Jenny Jones on her workshops and is also been working for Protect Our Winters. And now I sort of found this out whilst on a couple of chairlift rides with him, and I thought that'd be interesting. We haven't had anyone from Protect Our Winters on, and obviously that is a really important subject for us snowboarders. So I thought we'd get him on, and then actually chatting to him, well, actually riding with him, I should say. I mean, as I go into this, I think I say this towards the end of the podcast, he's one of the best riders I've ever seen. Just cruising around piste and just riding in general made me want to ride as good as him. Just his mechanics and the turning and everything about his snowboarding was just like, that is how I want my snowboarding to be. And so because of all these things, I thought he'd be a good person to get on the podcast. Another person who's living the career that they want to live out in the mountains, which I think is important to show. It's these people that make the backbone of our culture, the unsung heroes, as it were. And so I wanted to tell his story. And he is also going to be joining us on our camp in March for a day of coaching with our guests. So there'll be more about that at the end. But let's get into it. This is a really interesting chat. I really enjoyed this one. We did it over Zoom. He's just above Bourg Saint Maurice, my old stomping ground. So it was good to connect with that part of the world again. So let's go. This is Owain George.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think my journey as well, because I did seasons. I dropped out of college when I was like 18, so I did my first season in like 1999.
Okay.
You know, and like working in bars and kitchens and stuff, and quickly fell in love with it. And it wasn't the intention to do more than one season, really, but and then it was that conversation in my head of, I want to keep doing this, but I can't keep working in a bar. You know,
I think most people do one season just with the intention of doing one season.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was like, I'm going to do a season, then I'm going to go to university. And sadly, I think my parents didn't get their dream of one of their children going to university.
I'd imagine that's quite a common comment.
Well, I think so. Like the crew we used to hang out in Bourg, all the cool bus drivers and all those guys, you know, they'd turn up for one season and just be like, this is the best.
Yeah.
So explain to me, like, how did you come to do a season? Like, how did you find snowboarding and like, where did you grow up?
So I'm from South Wales, and hadn't really, when I was younger, I was in school. My sport was like team sports, right. And growing up in Wales, it's pretty much rugby. That's what's full standard like, and that was it. So although I lived quite close to the coast, I didn't really get into board sports when I was younger. So I didn't skate, and I didn't surf.
Yeah.
Back then, so snowboarding was pretty alien to me, and I'd gone to college to do sports science. That was kind of, I thought I was going to go down that route, kind of be involved in team sports at some level.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of nasty injuries playing rugby in college that meant I had 2 shoulder reconstructions in the same year.
Wow.
So I couldn't play any sport for like a whole year because I had one shoulder done and it took 6 months of rehab, and then the second one straight off the bat then, and that took another 6 months of rehab. And because
what level were you playing rugby at then?
Like
must
college
be quite
level.
a high level if you
No, like college level. And my intention with the sports science was to work within team sports, but not as a player, but to be around it, you know, like the other jobs that come around team sports. But I wasn't ever academic. So when I took the ability to do sports in college away because of my shoulders, and then it was just purely studying, I really struggled.
Right.
It just didn't engage me. And looking back now as someone who knows myself a bit better, and in hindsight, then, you know, that something like outdoor ed or something that I'm a bit more physical involved probably was a better route for me to go down. But so at the time, then I got pretty bummed out and dropped out of college, and I went for a pint down my local, and I bumped into a girl I knew from school, and she was working for a tour operator. Right. And she was running the bars, so she was recruitment for bars for a tour operator.
No way.
And I was having a pint with my best mate at the time, who also dropped out of college, and so a pair of dropouts having a pint on like a Wednesday night. And
I mean, you're setting the scene perfectly.
This is leading right into a season, isn't it? Perfect. And she was like, if you guys want a job working in a bar, I can fly you out like in 5 days' time.
No
you don't need any money in your bank, fly you out. And actually, this job was for the summer to begin with.
Okay.
So we both said, yeah. We got flown out to Greece for like the tail end of the summer season. We had great fun. And then everyone started talking about, I think most of the guys there were going to St. Anton. So it's talking about St. Anton. I'd never heard
Was
of
it one of those tour operators that have like a summer and winter program?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So people who have been doing it for a while kind of roll in and out. So they do the summer, go home for a week, and they go straight on to a winter season.
Yeah.
And they were filling out these forms for their job apps for the winter. And I was like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, we go and do winter now. I was like, what? I can like literally get a job right now for the winter as well. They were like, yep. And I'd done like maybe two family ski holidays.
Right.
That's when I was younger. So I hadn't really done those. And I was like, this sounds great. So sign me up. And that was it. That was my first winter. So 1999 season, I think. And went out, worked in St. Anton. Because I hadn't snowboarded or done any board sports, so skied to begin with.
Right.
And pretty quickly I saw people ripping around on snowboards, and it's like, whoa, that looks way more fun. And so me and my mate went to the local, because the deal was, when you're working out there with a tour up, they'll give you ski hire for part of your package.
Yeah.
And but they won't give you a snowboard back then. It was just skis.
Really?
So we were like, we want snowboards. Spoke to our manager. He was like, it's not going to happen. They don't rent out snowboards like that. So we went to the local snowboard shop, and we were earning like 30 quid a week with this tour up. So there's and we're spending more than that, you know, in the bars.
Yeah, obviously.
And, so we're always in a deficit anyway. I had no money, no means of making money, but I was determined to get a snowboard. So I took my passport to the local snowboard shop, and I said to the guy, I was like, dude, if you can give me a setup, keep my passport, and I will find a way to pay you money by the end of the winter to pay off this setup. And he did it. He gave me a setup and kept my passport. And that was it then. The rest of that season was pretty painful. I didn't take any lessons. I just nailed myself trying to learn how to snowboard. But by the end of it, just loved it. You know.
Have you seen the film Chalet Girl?
Yeah.
Because You sound a bit like that. Because that's based in St Anton, isn't it? I think, or some of it was filmed there.
Yeah.
So that's my only point of reference. As you're telling this story, I'm just pulling up scenes from Chalet Girl
with my face on it instead.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's amazing that he gave you a setup, though.
Yeah, it was pretty like, there was I don't know, there's still are places like that now, but in each resort there was such a hardcore like snowboard shop back there, and it was run by people who were just so into it, and like local shredders who would open up a shop, and they were just stoked people wanted to get into snowboarding, and I managed to pay it off, so that's cool.
Did you pay off by the end of the season, or did you have to kind of?
Yeah, I worked extra shifts. I just did whatever I could to like make sure I had that money. So I paid it off, got my passport. That was cool. And then that was it. I wanted to go back the next year. So for a few years, I went back, worked back at home in Cardiff in bars just to earn money to save to go back out in the winters. Right. And I think by the end of the second winter, I was like, how do I do this without doing these jobs which pay me 30 quid a week? It's super fun, but it was kind of killing me, and I was always playing catch up in the summer then. And working so hard.
It's subsistence living, isn't it?
Yeah, and that has definitely has a lifeline on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was super fun living like that as well, and it was kind of the breeding ground then for just falling in love with the sport. And I think then by the end of the second one, someone has said to me, why don't you do your instructor's qualifications? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you can go and do like your instructors, and then you can work as an instructor. And so I did that. I saved up money and went and did my level 1 and 2 then the next year, and that allowed me to teach anywhere in the world apart from France. So
for anyone who's listening that might fancy getting into teaching snowboarding, just sort of paint a picture of what that looks like. Where'd you go? Who'd you speak to? What does it involve?
So the governing body within the like federation is BASI, which is the British Association of Snow Sports Instructors. Yeah. I mean, you can go anywhere. That's the pathway that I took. You can do that in Canada, USA, Switzerland, Italy. Funny enough, not in France for snowboarding, just because of their
good old France still
bizarre view on snowboarding.
They're not letting go of that one, are they?
Yeah, no, too right. They're doubling down on that. And so yeah, you can go and do your level 1 and level 2, which allows you then to teach, I think, still now in pretty much every country apart from France. And then level 3 and level 4 take you up to like the higher level then.
And what's the kind of minimum standard to do your level 1 and 2, and what then kind of what standard does that sort of set you up to teach?
So level 1, if I'm a bit rusty on remembering it all, but level 1, I think in the BASIS system allows you just to teach indoor. Right. So you can do that, and then in between each level you need to rack up hours. Yeah. Before you go back in for the next kind of level of qualifications. Sure. And as you go through the qualifications, they add more and more modules into it. So level 1 you can do in teaching indoor, if I'm correct, and then you do your hours doing that, and then you can submit yourself to level 2. So level 1 you can be pretty basic. Yeah. Because the instruction you're delivering is for like novices learning from scratch to like learn how to turn. And because it's indoor, it's pretty limited on where you go from there. Yeah. And then level 2 is a bit more of a higher entry level, obviously, and you're then examined on teaching as well as a separate kind of module. So it splits that out. So it's a bit more in depth in the teaching element and the technical riding element. So your own technical riding. So normally people would do level 1, do their hours for teaching that allows them then to submit to level 2, and they'll do some work on their own riding. Yeah. And then level 2, the technical riding you get examined on, and then you'll have a teaching element to that you'll get examined on then. So you can kind of go in before level 1 pretty basic, and the guidance and the kind of course notes to get you through that and doing the experience hours at level 1 will kind of coax you into level 2.
It's funny, isn't it? Because apart from yoga, snowboarding is one of those things that people sort of do it a bit and then can get into teaching quite quickly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen it on dry slope when I used to work at dry slope and stuff like that. And there's not many, like, people don't pick up a set of golf clubs and then sort of get down the driving range a bit and then go, oh, I can teach this.
Fully.
Do you know what I mean? But snowboarding seems to have that thing that people almost want to share it with, it must be wanting to share it or wanting to help other people discover this thing at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Because it seems to be that quite a lot of people get into teaching quite quickly from learning to snowboard.
Yeah, and I think up to level 2, that's pretty accessible.
Yeah.
And the good thing about, I mean, if you're really into snowboarding, and even doing those qualifications improves your riding.
Yeah.
So you learn technically about your snowboard. You learn about how you stand on a snowboard. You learn how to use the snowboard properly and correctly. So even if you weren't going to teach, like doing those things, if you're really into your riding,
yeah, it's
really beneficial for you.
Yeah, it gives you a good ground, like a good base level to work off.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously, like, teaching at level 2 has its kind of limits,
right?
Because of the amount of teaching that you've done or the technical kind of exams that you've done. And then when it steps up to, so that is really accessible at the beginning. And then the next step up to level 3, the modules get split out quite a lot. So there's, instead of there just being tech and teaching, there's other modules within that.
Right.
Quite a few modules. It's a while since I did that. So I think it was maybe 8 modules when I did that. Each module is examined in its own right then.
Yeah. And you were using it as a pathway to get back out to the mountains?
Yeah, so I did it and used that level, and then actually, so I did quite a few seasons, and then I stopped doing seasons and I went back to the UK, back to Wales for a while.
Right. And were you teaching on those seasons? Was that your sort of main gig, or?
Yeah, no, like, I got those qualifications. I went down to New Zealand, went up to Canada for a little bit, and then I kind of, because there was different reasons for me coming back to the UK, but also because that level of qualification is quite low, the pay is quite low.
Yeah.
And so it didn't seem kind of sustainable.
Sure.
And so I decided to go back to the UK for a while. And then eventually stuff happened. I was like looking at trying to open up my own, because I worked in hospitality outside of all of that. And I looked to open up my own, was looking and trying to lay plans to open up my own place in Cardiff. And the 2008 recession hit.
Yeah.
And so obviously everything was super volatile, especially hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And so the risk of me investing any money into that was just a no-go.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I'll go back out for a winter. And I wanted to come back out to France. So I didn't have my qualification that allows me to teach here.
Sure.
And someone offered me a job running a bar in Tignes.
Okay.
And I hadn't been to Tignes before. And I went out to Tignes, did that. And it was then within, again, something that was meant to be like a 6-month stop to then go back and pursue this idea of having my own place in the UK. And yeah, I quickly remembered how much I missed the mountains.
Yeah.
And that then I did a couple of seasons, and then that whole instructor thing came back in as that I'm already halfway there on the pathway.
Yeah.
You need to do a bit more to teach in France. So then I took that back up. Because the same situation, I didn't want to carry on working in hospitality in the ski resort. I wanted to have something a bit more kind of career driven.
Yeah.
And something I enjoy doing and a bit more passionate about.
Yeah.
And so I finished my qualifications while working in Tignes. and then that allowed me to get my full certification here in France. And then,
how difficult is it to get certified in France?
it's the pathway's changed a little bit now since Brexit, so it's a little bit complicated at the moment.
Yeah.
So at the time we had the level 3 was kind of the highest. Well, we had level 4, but level 3 was quite an in-depth level of examinations with BASI, kind of 7 or 8 modules, which include European mountain safety examinations, second discipline. So you have to go and teach something else as well.
What was the other thing you taught?
I did skiing because I'd done it before.
Fine.
And so it was quite easy for me to go, and you just need to achieve level 1 in that. So it was pretty easy. It was like a tick box exercise for me, really, to try and get through the exams as quick as I could. And then the level 3 teaching, that's like a 5-day examination, a dissertation. So you had to do a dissertation to do with the snow sports industry. Second language, so obviously some French, with the plan to teach here in France. And then the technical exam, so all the other ones I kind of flew through, and then the technical exam, I struggled on my first one because the jump from level 2 to level 3 technical riding was quite steep at the time.
Yeah.
And I actually broke my back on that first technical exam, which the exam's like a week long, and I think like day 3 I had like a really big slam and broke some vertebrae, broke some other bones.
Wow.
Got a really expensive helicopter taxi to the hospital. And
are you all fixed up now?
Yeah, it's all good, man. All good. And so then I had to go back and resit that exam. So, and then that's level 3. And then there's a level, it's changed a little bit now, but back then there was a level 4, which allows you then to teach in France.
Okay.
So there's some more modules within that, and within that you have to go and get FAS points, so FIS points, which are the points you kind of gain to go into like proper competitions.
Right.
And you can
do that. Those?
Well, you can do it in different disciplines, but me and a mate Jonesy did it. We did it together in border cross.
Right.
So we rocked up. It's kind of with the FIS points. So you go to a competition, and the person with the most FIS points, in that competition, their FIS points gets divided amongst the kind of field.
Right.
So if you go to a competition that has like a really good rider in it who has lots of FIS points, then those points get pushed down the field a bit more.
Okay.
So our kind of idea was, well, let's go to like a pretty big event.
Yeah.
And then at least we got a better chance of getting some points.
Yeah.
So we went to the Czech National Championships, which we drove from Tignes to Czech Republic. Rocked up, pretty cowboy, just in our normal like riding gear.
Yeah.
Everyone's there with like their own coaches and board techs and stuff like that. And
there's a lot of hard boots in border cross, isn't there?
Yeah. And we had borrowed some like border cross boards from the Navy. Hadn't really ridden them, like these huge, stiff, like planks of wood.
Yeah.
Rocked up in like our broken in 2-season-old soft boots, just our normal riding gear.
Yeah.
And it was pretty funny. Like the first day was pretty funny. I was really terrible on the first day. Took a massive slam on the Wu-Tang, the starting point.
Yeah.
Where you drop in and there's like a couple of drop downs and a vertical, then down. And that first 5 seconds is just so hectic in the border cross.
Yeah.
But we both ended up getting enough points that we didn't need to do any more border cross challenges. So our technique worked going in for that championships where there was lots of points available.
That's mad. I mean, I would be I mean, have I done border cross? I think I did it in the Les Arcs British Champs years ago, and I just found it I couldn't really handle having people that close to me all vying for the same place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's full on.
Just freaks me out.
I was in the first because we did a couple of races over the whole weekend, and the first race I was in the start gates, and I turned to the right of me, and there's this guy, like Scandi dude, big dude, massive beard, like looked like a Viking. And he turned around and looked at me and beat his chest.
No way.
Just did like this war cry in my face. And I was holding on to the start gates. I turned and looked at Jonesy and I was like, what the hell is going on? This guy wants my blood, literally. And it was kind of the first few runs felt like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, everyone's gunning for that same point, and it was hectic. And you see some massive crashes as well, like huge bales, people getting kicked out of corners.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of that, having broken your back before, that must have been a bit of a.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy we got those points in that first weekend of racing. Like, it was fun, but it was scary fun.
Yeah,
and it was a good road trip. Like, we had a good crack on it, and I think we were both pretty stoked that we got those points in that one weekend.
Sweet.
Yeah, so the journey is long for the French qualification. And in between each level, you got to go and do your hours as well. So you got to accrue teaching hours. You can't just go from level to level to level.
Yeah, you've got to, like psychotherapy.
Yeah, so it's a big investment. And I don't know if they do it now, but Béziers aligned the level 4, which is the last kind of level for us to come and teach in France, with Edinburgh University. So when we've completed ours, we got kind of not an honorary degree, but we got the points awarded to us from Edinburgh University for a degree with honors.
Okay.
Which was really cool, because you get, if then you step out of the industry and you're applying for other jobs, it doesn't just look like you've been a snowboard bum. You're like, look, this took me 3 years to do. I invested a lot of money in it. I invested a lot of time in it.
Yeah.
And I'm now highly qualified in this field. And that kind of recognition from Edinburgh Uni kind of gives a bit of weight to that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I thought that was a really cool thing that they did.
Did you get the shot of you with throwing your mortarboard and a cape and all that business?
Oh no, that would have been rad. No, we got like a certificate through the post, but that would have been cool. Definitely.
I saw I just as an aside, I was clearing out my mother-in-law's house last week and came across a picture of my wife with her mortarboard on from when she graduated university.
Oh yeah, epic. and a classic shot of it in the air.
Yeah. Not the thing my mum and dad never got that
Never saw
from any of us.
Yeah, funny enough, I always got, I got quite a lot of flack for doing a lot of seasons and kind of falling into like snowboarding from my dad, and then it turns out actually that I'm the only one in the family that ended up getting some sort of like degree in snowboarding.
Sweet.
Which was really cool.
Really satisfying.
Yeah, bringing that to the dinner table on a Sunday.
So how, like, when you were doing that and getting your hours, I assume you're working at a local ski school, getting paid, like earning some money to keep you.
Yeah, because you work in different countries, so you can go. It's just not in France. So
you weren't after that season you were in Tignes, you then went off somewhere else. Yeah,
that was like way back in the first kind of stint I did.
Yeah,
and then I did. So you can do some shadowing hours with other instructors, then level 4 instructors. So I did shadowing hours as well on that. And then working alongside ski schools or snowboard schools, because until you're level 3, you're not allowed to work independently anyway. You have to work within a school organization.
I mean, when you were doing all this, were you much aware of like the British scene and the whole kind of community around it?
Yeah, I think I'm probably more aware of it in my latter years of snowboarding than at the time. I think because I wasn't hugely into board sports when I was younger, and then I was in it and then I came out of it, but I was definitely following, all around that period was like Danny Wheeler, and then like I'm trying to think who would be at the Brits champs then. It'd be like Jamie Baker or like John O'Verity and people like that. And then you knew around the resorts of like the crew that were around that had been through the dry slope scene.
Yeah.
And then were already well established in like teen and stuff. So, Will and Scope and crew like that were
Yeah, of course.
which now I ride with regularly and I know really well. But back kind of when I started, they were probably just faces that I knew of instead of kind of being kind of more involved in it. But
so go on, carry
on. As my kind of love for snowboarding, getting more and more involved in it, you find yourself becoming more and more engrossed in it, and then you realize that it's a pretty small community. You know, there's so many crossovers within that community.
So where were you at when you were doing your different qualifications? Like, obviously you couldn't do it in France, so where did you base yourself, or where were you sort of snowboarding? So
I went down to New Zealand and then up to Canada. So I did that for a bit, and then I had that break after Canada, and then the rest of the time then was doing my qualifications back in Tignes.
Okay, so you've been in Tignes for quite a long time now. Then.
I think 2010. I've had a few years away, right. Where I went back and came back for like peak weeks. Yeah. Again, kind of trying to that's quite interesting. I kind of thought I wanted to step away from being out here all the time, because I used to be out here all year round, and maybe that got a bit kind of claustrophobic for me a little bit. Yeah,
it's funny, when I interviewed Will, I mean, I've known Will for a long time. Yeah, we used to hang out in London together, and that was one of the things I was sort of talking to him. I was like, living all year round in Tignes. I mean, Tignes, I lived all year round in Bourg for a bit.
Yeah.
Did a few years there, and that's like a level below spending all year round in Tignes. Do you know what I mean? Because at least in Bourg, kind of in the summer, the whole place comes to it feels like there's more going on in the summer.
Yeah, and funny enough, that's where I live now in the winter.
Is it? Right.
Yeah.
Because, and then like in Tignes, you have those shoulder seasons where, there might be one bar open and it's a bit of a ghost town and there's just people doing renovations, and that's about, there's not too much going on. And I wondered, I wonder how it is when you are trying to carve a career, sort of those quiet times when there's not a lot going on, how you sort of weather those.
Yeah, I mean, to begin with, when it was like a new experience, I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the summers out here. There's heaps to do in the summer.
Was the glacier still sort of happening?
It was. Yeah, and so everyone would get pretty stoked for those couple of months that the glacier was open. I mean, it was open quite a lot of the summer when I started here, but quite drastically that was reducing every summer. So people would get real stoked on that. Like climbing, biking, hiking, trail running. Like there's so much to do in the summer. That's cool.
I mean, coming from a sport background, do you kind of participate in lots of different sports?
Yeah, I do. I'm constantly active with sports, really. I do. I love my trail running, so I do a lot of running. I do a fair bit of climbing. When I'm back because now I spend the summers in the UK, so I'm part of the my local mountain rescue team back there. So lots of time on the hills in South Wales there, training, and obviously we do rescues when people need us. So out on the hills quite a lot. I moved to a village back in Wales with a little beach so I can surf. So in the summer, try and get in the water as much as possible.
When did you pick up surfing?
Pretty late, and it's really.
And why? Because I've snowboarding out of snow, skate and surf. Snowboarding is definitely the easiest one to get into, I would say.
Man, like surfing's so hard. Like, I don't know if it's because I took it up later, but the amount of time I've put into that sport compared to where I am is like, I mean, if I wrote that down and showed most people would be like, why are you wasting your time with? Yeah. You're putting so much effort into it. I mean, that's just for me, obviously. It's a tricky sport. Snowboarding is, you hike to the top of the line or something like that, you scope the line. It's not going to change. You kind of, your tactics, where you're going, where you're going to do your turns, on piste, off piste, whatever. Even in the park, the features don't change. They're consistently there. So you can train on that terrain, whether that be in the park, jumps, backcountry, piste riding. It doesn't change. So you can train on it. It's consistent.
Yeah.
When you chuck yourself in the water, unless you're on like a perfect point break or a reef break somewhere where it is breaking the same all the time, which in Wales we're pretty limited on. Chuck in like in the winter, how cold it is, and all of it, you've got to endure it a little bit, and it's just difficult. All those nuances of knowing where you're going to be on the wave, how that's going to react. No, quite often no wave is the same. And all of that is just before you've even paddled in to think about getting up. And once you're up, what you're going to do, and all of that stuff. There's so many variables to it, which, I mean, the same with skateboarding. Okay, the features are the same as skateboarding, but the board isn't attached to you.
The board wants to do what it wants to do.
Yeah. So when I see people in the village, like some of the guys in the village that rip on surfboards, I've got so much respect for them, because I find it really difficult. But I love it equally. I get a real buzz from it, and so I try and do that as much as I can.
So when did you what made you choose between sort of coming back and spending the summers in the UK as opposed to just full time in France?
So I love my job as a snowboard instructor, so that's a no-brainer to be here in France. Like I really love that, and I tried to not do it for a few seasons, and I really missed it, and I got in a bit of a hole about it because I was like, I'm doing a job I really love. Like, every single day I come off the hill, and I'm pretty stoked. There's not a day I come off and I haven't had a good day, And so that was that's what I want to do in the winters. But I think as I got a bit older, I don't know, like family back at home. I have a nephew now, and so hanging out with my brother and his family is cool. And I really enjoyed the progression of learning to surf.
Yeah.
As much as I've just dogged it out and been like, yeah, it's really difficult. I also enjoy that learning process.
Yeah.
And then I think outside of that, as I got a bit older, maybe the stuff that being back in the UK offers culturally a bit more outside of just the mountains.
Sure.
So, you want to go and see some live music or things like that, or stuff that's going on, which maybe is a little bit more limited out here because everything is geared towards mountain life and all those activities in the mountain. And I've kind of enjoyed that balance now.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That was one of our reasons for coming back. Is just that.
Really.
Just that it was like, I love it out here. Like there is a nice life to be had out here, but I missed music and just maybe seeing sort of a more diverse. Growing up in London, I was just used to a more diverse kind of outlook, and I sort of wanted a bit more of that again. Yeah,
I totally resonate with that. It's amazing here, but it's all channeled down one route of mountain living, and that's cool. If you like fully and like submit yourself to that, then that's amazing. But I quite enjoy the contrast of having that here in the winters, and then I still have the mountains and the hills back in Wales, so I spend a lot of time in them in the summer. But like different friendship crews as well, like mates from back in Wales that I enjoy surfing with and hanging out with in the summers and going to see gigs with and stuff like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And where are you, like, so when you get clients now, where are those clients coming from? Like, are you working for a ski school or do you freelance? Like, how's your setup out there?
It kind of just happens. So independent, and have returning clients every year that want to come back and ride with you. And then there's a really cool network of independent snowboard instructors around Tignes and Val d'Isère, and we pass a lot of work amongst each other.
Right.
So if we're kind of full up, then we'll pass work around. There's like an independent snowboard instructors app as well,
Right.
which you sign up for, and people inquire. Kind of works like they do the admin of like what a ski school would do.
Sure.
But you still have your own calendar. You open it up or close it down whenever you want to.
Yeah.
You tell them the rate that you want to charge, and then they kind of deal with the admin, and they push you work. That way you have like a profile on the app, so people can pick you.
Yeah.
Which kind of works well. So there's a few different avenues, and then at the moment, the last couple of years, myself and Cole.
Did I meet him when I was out riding with you guys?
No, I think he was away in Colorado, but you definitely would have met him before. Another Welsh, a guy from Cardiff, who's instructing out here, and we coach the Navy's like snowboard team for like a month. So we're in the middle of it at the moment. We have them for the whole month of January, so that takes up a chunk as well.
Well, tell me a bit about that, because there's been a bit of a long relationship with the Navy, or certainly the armed forces, and getting like proper snowboarders. Like Nelson Pratt used to coach with them, and they seem to sort of do it the right way. So can you just tell me, like, it just seems crazy that the armed forces have like a snowboard team in the first place, but it's quite but it is a cultural thing that they have, isn't it? Like, it's quite sort of steeped in British snowboarding, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it might come in useful in Greenland. You never know in the next couple of months. There's some Royal Marines that can split board around. It kind of feels a bit like a rites of passage as an instructor here, because they've had a heavy relationship with like UK riders, coaching them, but also they've been in team for quite a while, so they've they have quite a solid relationship with the Dragon Lodge. They've used that digs for quite a long time, and I think James Sweets coached them previously before us. Yeah, he's now with the Paralympic team, right. And a whole bunch of really good riders have been on the coaching team. So what their deal is that they have, it's a pretty insane deal. So I think last year we had 5 weeks, coaching them. So they had me and Cole coaching them full time for those 5 weeks. And they have like a Navy championship. So we select the top 10 male riders and top 6 female riders. Right. So we have that team that we work with for the period of time that we have them. And then within that 5-week block, they have a Navy championships where other people from the Navy will coach, which we've got going on this week. So they'll have other people from the Navy who are out here on like a Navy organized snowboarding and ski trip will come and compete across 3 different disciplines. So freestyle, border cross, and parallel slalom. Right. And so they'll pitch themselves, our team will pitch themselves against the other people from the Navy who are entering that. And then we have a bit more training, a few more weeks with them, and then we go to the Intermilitary Championships, which is held in Maribel. And that's the Navy against the Army and the RAF. Sure. And it's a really well-run event, really big, and it's pretty cool because we normally know some of the coaches from the other teams. So maybe we've gone through our exams with them and done our coaching badges, if you like, with them. So we're kind of pitching ourselves up against them as well, which is good crack. Yeah. And it's really cool because coaching is different to instructing, and having a group of good riders for a big chunk of time is really interesting for me, and trying to make people who are already good riders better is that really challenging.
Are you doing more kind of coaching these days? Is that where you sort of your career is going?
Definitely like to do more, and that's kind of why Colin and I committed to doing the coaching for the Navy for the last couple of years, and going forward, hopefully if they continue wanting to work with us to try and do a bit more of that, because I find that really interesting. At the moment, it's a split between coaching and instructing through the winter. So there's a chunk of it that's instructing.
I'm assuming you're not doing like sort of taster lessons, falling leaf and that kind of stuff, or are you?
Like busy periods, yeah. I mean, when there's work there and you want to take it, then definitely. And that's really nice to tap back into as well. If you're doing that all the time, that's, that can be pretty monotonous. But to dip back in and out of that is cool, because you're helping people get into snowboarding again, and you're seeing the stoke of them doing their first link turns. And that is like, to bring it right back to the beginning and see people getting stoked on that is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying earlier that like you don't have a bad day.
Yeah,
because you're getting, I guess, the ideal scenario is that you're getting like the joy, you get the feedback of joy from people that are discovering this thing.
Yeah, I mean, people are paying you to have knowledge from you because they want to learn.
Yeah.
They're there because they want to get better.
Yeah.
So you're already winning because they're in it. They're sold on it. They want to get better,
Yeah.
So from the second that you meet them, you're like, wicked. You're here because you want to get better at snowboarding. That's rad. Like, and helping people on that journey, whether that's someone right at the beginning and unlocking their first ever turns, getting on their first ever chairlift, stuff like that. So then maybe they can ride around with their partner for the rest of the week, or the rest of their crew that maybe have done a few winters, so that they're already kind of buzzing around. Or bringing people who have maybe been riding for years and just hit plateaus, and then you unlock one little thing, in the couple of days you're with them, or the few hours that you're with them, and you unlock something that they haven't thought about. Because it's problem solving a lot of the time, because our bodies work slightly differently. And so you can't teach the same thing to everyone all the time, because people have different learning methods.
Yeah.
Some people want to know the tech, so there's a lot of talking. Some people don't want to talk; they just want to be shown it, and then they can do it.
Yeah.
So different styles of learners.
Do you find that? I mean, obviously, back in the day, there wasn't anybody that was teaching snowboarding, but so everyone had to learn themselves. And obviously, there'll be a lot of people that go snowboarding that have never had anybody kind of look at their riding and say, look, if you just did this, you'd, as you say, you'd unlock the next level. Whereas, do you find that now people are entering and getting lessons to start with? Do you know what I mean? To set them off on the right? Because just when my kids had lessons last year, they were getting better quicker than necessarily I did, because I was just, like when I learned, there was nobody, and you're just trying to figure it out.
You're just
Whereas actually they had good, they had good posture, they were stood in the right way, they understood like the mechanics of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, going back to that first season when we couldn't even hire a snowboard, let alone trying to get an instructor. And we just got battered that first year. I had so many bruises, like gnarly bruises, my hips, all around your body. And some of the slams you take, if I had those slams these days, I'd just snap in half, and that's kind of how it was, wasn't it? And you learn from your peers, you learn from the guys who had done a couple of seasons more than you had.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they could snowboard technically well, but you followed them, didn't you? If they're going to go off the kicker in the park, you went off the kicker in the park with them. No one told you what to do with it.
Yeah.
No one was like, flat base, go from here, this is how you jump. You just did it, and it was a bit chaotic, but you kind of learn, and you learn in your own kind of wacky style, I guess. Yeah, I think most people come out and they check in with a lesson.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they do. And it's definitely changed.
That's
and
cool.
I think
that's cool to
see
hear,
that
isn't it?
on the hill. Yeah.
Because
I think
guess
you can
more
see
people,
that
yeah, and I think probably people are having a better time. Straight from the off, they're enjoying snowboarding more because it's not such a painful kind of entry into it.
Totally. And I think this isn't genuinely isn't a sales pitch, like being an instructor.
No, you go for it, man. This is your time to shine.
But like, you know, even people who are seasoned snowboarders checking in with an instructor at the beginning of that week, towards the beginning of the week, and it just needs to be a few hours with a good instructor, they'll be able to pinpoint 1 or 2 things to work on for the rest of that week. And it means that you're not just at the end of that week or 2 weeks, you're getting back to the level you were when you left the resort the year before. So we're just kind of staying on this plateau, but actually you got some stuff to work on, you know, and a good instructor will pinpoint something pretty quick and give you a work on for the rest of that week. Whether that's just general stuff or whether you go and you're like, I want to get better at this. I haven't done this before. I want to learn how to do this, you know, and I think it's really good to check in each time you go away a couple of hours, and that way your riding is going to progress every time you go on a trip, you know?
Yeah. And I also think that people like you are blessed with a patience that not everybody has. Like I'm
a couple of my girlfriends probably wouldn't say that, man.
But I mean,
don't teach girlfriends anymore. That's definitely something.
Oh man, I taught my wife. I remember there's a funny story. So my wife, she wasn't my wife then. She came out. I was like, I'm going to Bourg for the season. You're willing to come? You're welcome to come. And she was like, yeah, I'll have some of that. So she came out and I sort of started teaching her. And I remember, I think it might have been the second day, I was just like, just stop leaning back, just stop, you know, and just shouting at her. And then we came down and we went round to Wheeler's house because he lived in Bourg at the time. And we were talking to him and he was like, mate, sounds like there's trouble in paradise. And I just remember thinking, I should not be doing this.
Yeah.
And we recognized that with the kids. It was just like, there's no point me trying to teach you guys because I will show you, I will tell you, I'll explain what to do. Then I'll show you what to do. And then I'll just expect that after all that wisdom, you'll just be able to do it.
Yeah.
And man, I'm not good. I'm not a born teacher, I don't think.
I think,
and I'm internally impressed by the people that can do that and just stay calm and just like no trouble.
Yeah, I think in those environments, it's best for, even if you're an instructor, for someone else to, like, when you got family or, you know, girlfriends or partners and stuff like that. I know that in the past when I've tried to teach partners and you're telling them the same thing to do all the time, they're not doing it, they get frustrated at you. And then you're like, okay, go and ride with someone else. And then they'll have a great day, come back and they'll be like, you know what? He just told me to stand on my front foot more. I'm like, I've been telling you that for the whole week. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, but yeah, you know, there is definitely, you can have all the technical knowledge and stuff, but there's nuances to teaching, and everyone learns differently, like I said earlier. And you learn that with experience, and the more time you spend in that environment teaching people. I'm working with other instructors, like working with Cole for this chunk of time with the Navy is brilliant because you're bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah.
You see someone doing something and you've never thought about explaining it that way.
Yeah.
And you know, you can take that from them and input that into the way that you teach some people. It's but yeah, it takes patience at times, definitely, for sure.
And how do you know? And I don't think I really talked to anyone about this, but like having a sort of proper career in the mountains changes. You know, like you're not on a season anymore.
No.
You know, like it's a proper lifestyle. You got to look after yourself. You got to sort of stay mentally and physically, like, well equipped. And the season air life. I mean, there is obviously kids still doing seasons and things, and you know, boozing every night and stuff like that. But how do you know when to sort of get loose, and how do you know when to rein it in?
Well, I moved down to Bourg. I took myself 15 kilometers away from the bars. That kind of works.
Where there's not a lot going on. Where do you live in Bourg, out of interest?
I live just do you know, there's a little village behind the hospital called Vaumex.
Yep, I know, yeah.
So the next village up from that called Le Poisé.
Okay.
And, like there's maybe 15 little houses here, and
sure.
I know my landlord, who my apartment is attached to his place, and I've known him ever since I've been a teen. So that's cool that I know him and his family. And my neighbour I know as well for quite a while. So I know a few people around here, so that's cool. But
man, I miss that valley so much.
It's nice, man. It's kind of re-energized me a little bit as well. So like you were saying, I'm trying to keep a career, and I'm 45 now as well, so my body can't handle the seasonal lifestyle, and I've got to stay in good nick for being on the hill instructing 6 hours a day. So it was when I was still living in Tignes, it was difficult because you ride with people have had a great day, and as you know, every day is a Friday night in resort. It doesn't matter what day it is. People are on holiday and they're having a good time, and there's always stuff going on in a different bar, and you have like an epic session with the crew that you're teaching, and then they're like, come on, let's go get an après beer. And quite easily that's still like you're looking down at your snowboard boots at like midnight, you're like, what? I'm still on that après beer.
That one turned into 8.
And that's not, for me, that's not sustainable anymore. So I've just got quite good at saying no, I think. That's pretty much it. And having other interests outside of riding is pretty good. So making arrangements to go climbing with a mate, or you've got organizing to go for a run with someone or something like that. So it's that incentive to not have that après beer,
Sure.
And 0% beer is a lifesaver too. So you can
Guinness Zero's changed.
Guinness Zero, and Brooklyn as well. That one's really nice. So you can still go and stay in that vibe after people have had a good day.
Yeah.
So and you pick your moments. Like last year with the Navy, me and Cole were like, we'll give you 2 nights.
Okay.
We'll give you 2 nights in the 5 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll go full send on the 2 nights. But it's 2 nights. And if I need to make sure these days that I'm not working the next day. So it's a day off,
Fair enough.
Which was at the end of the season, one of the girls from the Navy did a really good video collage, and she posted it on her Instagram, and I was watching it with Cole. There's loads of riding in it and all the competitions we did, and then it cut to this like 10-second clip in a nightclub with someone being like crowd surfing, getting passed across the crowd, like close enough to the ceiling that you can like lick the ceiling. And I was like, oh, that really looks like me. And I stopped it, went back, played it again. I was like, Cole, is that me? He's like, definitely you. I was like, I do not remember that happening. But that was one of the 2 nights. So we kept our word and we went full send on it. But
well, that's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's limited to a few nights a season now.
And you talk about other things that you do, and obviously you talked about climbing and running and stuff. But when we were out in Tignes, you also mentioned that you were to do with Protect Our Winters.
Yeah, I don't do too much with them recently, but when they started up, probably 10 years ago, when they started their kind of UK arm, I wanted to get involved. Or I wanted to get involved before the UK arm started, but obviously it was just Jeremy Jones's kind of setup in America.
Yeah.
And then it started to kind of franchise out, if you like. And so I just got in contact with them and I was like, I'm out here all the time. How can I help? And I just did it. At the time, they called it like a community rep almost. Right. So trying to do some events in wherever you're living and engaging people into pushing them into Protect Our Winters and what they're about. Trying to spread the word of what they're trying to do, which is engage the outdoor sports and activity community basically as one voice to talk about.
And what would that actually look like at a kind of ground floor level? Obviously Jeremy Jones is going into the White House and doing all that kind of stuff, but how does it come across when you're just chatting to people in the mountains about it?
Fully. I mean, it's Yeah, the same with the UK. They're trying to change policy at the top level.
Yeah.
That ultimately that's what they're trying to do. And on the grassroots level, it's trying to just get people to engage in that conversation and think about it and realize that we're involved in these sports, but our environments that we're involved in are changing pretty rapidly around us, and it's having a big impact on, and it will do in the next 10 years for sure, on jobs and the resorts in these places that we love spending our time and the activities that we love doing within them. And
it's a tricky thing to balance, isn't it? Especially like a kind of snow mountain based pastime, because obviously there's traveling. Everyone's traveling a long way. Like the majority is still flying. Because the economics of it, that is the way it is. And then you've got to get transfer. Like the whole thing stacks up against even resorts that are doing, like doing all they can. It can't really outweigh the amount of people traveling to these remote places to do this thing.
No, and that's the difficult conversation, isn't it? But I think no one is really, even at the top, no one's asking people to like sacrifice these things that we love doing. But I think what we try to do on a grassroots level is to just say, look, if you're engaging in these things, then just have a think about how you're engaging in them. Right. And are we thinking about the best way of doing things? So, is organizing your trip, your ways of getting to and from resort, and which resorts you pick actually, because some of the resorts are really forward thinking on a lot of this stuff, and a lot of their power comes from renewable energy. Les Arcs just here and the plan is like a B Corp organization as a whole resort, so they're trying to do a lot there to think about how they operate as a business.
That's interesting. I could say that's why we've chosen to run a camp there, but that's a nice thing to know, but that wasn't.
Yeah, it's really good
until just now.
And actually, when as the kind of working with Protect Our Winters, I started running a bank slalom event on behalf of kind of to raise awareness for Protect Our Winters in Tignes.
Yeah,
and we got loads of people involved, and we got loads of people who then signed up to like volunteer and help with Protect Our Winters, which was amazing. And we had a couple of like movie nights then on the registration nights, which we could talk a little bit, have a platform to talk to people about stuff.
Yeah.
And can show some movies that was kind of to do with the mountains and snowboarding and skiing, but thinking about it from kind of the environmental kind of view. And we got loads of sign up, and loads of people then signed up to help Protect Our Winters. People were coming to me like, how do I help more? How can I get involved more? How can I do more voluntary stuff back at home in the UK?
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And then,
how can you, what, if our listeners, people listening want to get involved, then how can they, what are the things that are going on that they can contribute to?
This isn't just for Protect Our Winters, really. If that kind of, if you're interested in organizations which, Surfers Against Sewage, Protect Our Winters, anything like that, you go to their websites and you can sign up to them. Like, one of the big things is signing up to, like, one of the easiest things to do is to sign up to things like their newsletters and be engaged with what they're doing in their profile, because when they try and get more funding to do bigger projects, the subscription base that they have and the interest they have from the general public carries weight.
Yeah. So
just engaging with those organizations. And but if you want to go further, like, contact them through the website, say that you would like to volunteer. So there'll be things like Protect Our Winters will go and set up areas at certain events around the UK, but they need volunteers to come and do that, because there's very few people that get paid by the organization. So it's run by volunteers, and any events that are going on in your local area, which you'll find out through the websites, the same with other organizations. And so like for here in team, when we do the bank slalom, we ask everyone to come and help hand build the course. So we're not using machinery.
Sure.
But those days and giving those days helps us build content. It helps us build a community. It helps us have conversations together as a community in snowboarding and around what's going on with the resorts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just engaging really is a great starting point, and conversations. And when these things pop up in your local area, like they might be movie nights, anything that's going on, go along to them, get involved, speak to the people that are there, and they will easily take you by the hand and help you, walk you through how you can help more and how you can get involved. And there's lots of different levels to be involved, from the very basic side of it of just being aware of the content, subscribing to their information, helping them if they're asking you. Then, you sign up with Protect Our Winters, then we're going to do work on trying to change policy, and we will send you, or they will send you, prefabricated letters to send to your local MPs of something that they're trying to lobby to change. That's going to help, like on a political level. And that kind of stuff is really helpful for those organizations, because it carries weight on the legislative side of things. And that's pretty easy stuff to do. It's not, so if it interests you, and that's what I did. It interests me, and I was thinking about it a lot and reading a lot about it, and I reached out to Protect Our Winters, and we ended up doing quite a few events, bank slalom events and movie events and stuff like that. And off the back of that, just running those few events, eventually Teen Development, who kind of run Teen, who we'd invited along to the events, were like, we would like to speak to Protect Our Winters about almost consulting with us on how we can become more sustainable in our practices as a resort.
So actually, by kind of doing something at grassroots level, you start influencing the people who see you doing that in their environment.
Yeah, that was from a bunch of us digging berms, digging a bank slalom track, like Will and John from Dragon Lodge and crew. Like, we all just did that from nothing. And after like the second year of doing that, we were having conversations with Teen about how can we make our resort more sustainable. And that's a huge entity that are then trying to make changes. So
I guess if they see people caring about it, then they then feel obliged.
And that the point there is, like, when you're asking if they're interested, what do people do, like the smallest amount of being interested in it, contacting these organizations, seeing any way that you can help, they're gonna guide you through it, baby steps, and it can go from nothing to having a really big impact in your local area. And then on a global scale, you hope that builds to that. But it's I think it's really important for us, like you said, we're using this area quite heavily, aren't we, to enjoy our activities. And
I mean, just going back to we're talking about the Teen Glacier and being out there in the summer. It seems like quite a short time span that went from the lower part of the glacier had 2 half pipes, a whole bunch of jumps spread across it. The big
park that used to be on there,
and like the best of times to and then the park went further up and it got smaller and smaller, and then I think the last time I saw a picture of the Teen Glacier, like, it broke my heart really.
And there was points where in that park you were like not allowed to unstrap your board unless you were standing on the knuckle of a kicker, because the crevasses were just everywhere. The snow fill from the winter before, and the retraction of the glacier creating more crevasses was wild. And that where that lower park and the half pipe used to be, on that kind of tongue of the glacier, there's now like a 30-foot cliff band, maybe even bigger. Like 40-foot cliff band on that far side of it, up towards the Pramaku face up there, that just wasn't there like 15, 20 years ago, because the glacier was that much higher. It was in line with the top of that cliff band, and now there's this cliff band that's in the time that I've been coming here and snowboarding. So it's really apparent, and Teen are lucky in the way that they're high up, but a lot of the lower resorts, the next 10 years is going to be really telling for them. And
Yeah.
It's there's kind of no denying it when you see it up here. It's, you know, the really low lying stuff like atolls and islands and stuff like that are going to see it, and the high stuff, the glaciers see it. Those kind of two extremes.
The extremes are seeing it first.
Yeah, whereas maybe us back in the UK aren't seeing it quite as much.
Well, you say that, but I mean, like flooding,
yeah,
and certainly sort of torrential rain. I mean, you can't deny that there is way more sort of proper torrential rain than there ever used to.
I know, I grew up
you know, like I know that's harder than there used to be. You know, trying to, you know, maybe remembering history wrong, but you know, it's noticeable, like heavy rainfall. That
and I think outside of like the glaciers and stuff here, the fluctuation in temperatures, here is crazy now, and this year has been quite surprising so far because it stayed cold through December and January. But the fluctuation over the last like 10 years here, where it used to be, okay, the amount of snowfall is different. That's weather. So some years you'll have a big snowfall, some years you won't. But you kind of always knew when I started doing seasons, you knew December was cold, January was really cold. Mm-hmm. February was still cold, but starting to get warmer towards the end. And then we start going into spring conditions. So the amount of snow, forget about that. That changed. But it was pretty consistent on those temperatures. But we've like, the last 10 years, we've had some winters where you're in January, it's -12 one day and it's +12 the next day.
Yeah, wow.
You know, it can just be like that through the whole month of January and February, just crazy ups and downs.
Yeah.
You know, which just didn't seem to happen before. It's those fluctuations which are just bonkers, the kind of instability of that season.
And I guess I'm going to assume that, you know, offering to help protect our winters is a way of doing something, not just panicking and being all doom and gloom about it, but trying to pull something positive out of a negative.
I think, you know, you can do your little bits and make changes in your life, and that's amazing. But ultimately, systemic change needs to happen on a greater scale, and you need a community voice to do that. You can't do that on your own, and you need a bigger voice acting as one. And that's where these organizations come in, and that's what they're trying to do, is that they carry weight behind them so that that voice of the whole community is listened to.
Yeah.
And so, you know, thinking about your life and making your changes is important. But getting involved with organizations that can then be allowed a voice. And that's what it's about. That's engaging with Protect Our Winters and organizations like that, and being on board with them, and engaging with the content they're putting out, and doing with the things that they're asking you to do, like writing to your MPs and things like that. And that's when this community, the snowboarding community, the outdoor activity community, actually carries weight. Yeah. And it has a real voice, and things change. Sure. You know, the stuff that Jeremy Jones does in America is amazing. Like, you know, he spends most of his time now there and in those realms, you know, and helping to forge different strategies in the government to make things better going forward.
Amazing. Okay, I think we've covered Protect Our Winters. So, I mean, we sort of just happened to go riding together, didn't we, in Tignes in December? And following you down the mountain, just going back to that kind of thing about, you know, like having a good grounding, you know, kind of learning to teach also has an impact on your riding. And I think I said to you at the time, well, I did say to you at the time, I remember saying it to you, just following your line down, it's like, I was thinking about this today, like everybody, you know, kind of, it's quite famous that a guy called Josh Dirksen in America has got like the best turn on a snowboard. Yeah. But following you just ragging down piece or whatever, I would say that you have possibly got the best snowboarding in just turning that I've ever ridden with. Because just seeing you like carving and taking lines and stuff, And I was just going, that is fucking rad. That looks so good. And you look so in control and like technique, just brilliant. And I was like, just trying to follow it to see if I could sort of get close. And you're the first person that I've ridden, obviously you see, you ride with people, you see people do tricks and you're like, I want to do it like that. But I think you're the first person that I've ridden with who've been like, fuck me, I want to just turn like that.
That's rad. Thanks, man. Yeah.
I mean, if you can get people turning like you do, then you are earning your money.
I love that, the blank canvas of terrain on the mountain, and turns just allow you to just utilize that whole terrain, and the whole time I'm riding, I'm just thinking about how good is a deep hillside carve going to feel on that bank over there, and how nice is it to roll in, and my head the whole time is kind of envisaging that. And I think the sensation of turning is just epic. I love it, and on piste, off piste, I just love that feeling of engaging your board and using the board the way that it's designed to be used. Not being a passenger on it, but actually getting into the guts of it and getting.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looked like. You were sort of just skirting over, but like things weren't sort of interrupting your line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a lot of technical riding through my exams, really, to become an instructor, of learning how to control your board in all the different terrain. And then actually on that week I was riding a brand new board, which was the Island Volume 1, which John brought me over from Japan.
Sure.
And I was just doing turns on that thing. Is just nuts. So that week was the first week I'd been on it, and so that getting into a new board as well is just amazing, because you're learning what you can give on it, how much you can give on it, how much you can't, where you can push it to, I think that feeling of riding the mountain and the terrain and drawing your line on it is just, that nothing gives back to me like that with my snowboarding. That's the element of snowboarding I'm really into. And I think that's at times where I get frustrated at surfing, because I get up and I look down a line and I look at it like I do on a mountain, but I don't have the ability yet to ride that line the way that I visualize it.
Yeah.
But with snowboarding, I've got the ability to do what I want to do on that terrain.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm quite into all the tech side of riding, and so I'm constantly thinking about all the adjustments I'm making when I'm going down and how I'm going to adjust into the next turn and the next bit of terrain. And I get really into that. And when that line and that flow is just going and you get to the bottom, and the feeling from it is just, it's purely intrinsic, because you've experienced it. But
yeah,
it's awesome. And then passing that on, riding with a crew and looking around and seeing everyone else picking their line and doing this, going through the same stuff that you're going through in your head, but they're going through it and they've picked their line, it's different to yours, and they're being creative in their own way. And like that crew that week was so good at the lodge, and seeing everyone else doing that, brings you so much joy as well. And that's why riding as a crew is epic. And that also comes out of teaching, you're getting someone to experience that for the first time and really engage with the mountain and snowboarding, and look on their face when they get to the bottom of a run, when that's all clicked, and how they're feeling. You're like, I know exactly how you're feeling.
I mean, no, that I think that day, kind of the weather had socked in a bit earlier. I'd interviewed Hannah in the morning, and then we sort of went out and we just found a spot that was clear, and there must have been about 20 of us. There was a whole bunch of us. There was a crew up from Bourg,
mega shred crew.
There was a teen crew. There was obviously people who were staying at the Dragon Lodge, and it was just fucking awesome. Like, you don't often get a big crew like that together.
No, and you look around, everyone's like, that everyone can shred, and it's but everyone's got their own thing they're doing. Some people are on the side hits when they're going down. Other people are just laying down big trenches and carbs, and everyone's got their own style, and that's just a cool feeling, huh? It's sharing that moment, but you've also got your own intrinsic stuff going on of your riding as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. That was definitely. I wasn't expecting. I think sometimes I get a bit kind of put off with a big crew.
Yeah,
I just sort of hang back and but actually that crew was perfect. Everyone sort of knew where everyone was, and everyone was giving each other enough space, and like no one was trying to be like the alpha male or anything like that. Everyone was just like in the zone. It was cool.
Yeah, and I think we hit a couple of side hits in the park as well, and lined up, and everyone like did a little training there and that. That's so good. And I had so many experiences like that with the lodge. There's always good crew to go shred with there, whether that's just people staying there or people who used to work there and stuff like that. There's always a sound crew to go out and shred.
Yeah, big up the Dragon Lodge.
Big up the lodge.
So let's talk about what snowboarding means to you now then, after all the different aspects of it that you've done. And
I think it's my identity now. Right. It's such a big part of me, and I think I took a few winters that I didn't come here, and I felt quite lost in my identity and who I am, and I think it's just I see it as my identity now. It's my career and my profession, and it's what I do. But then equally, the community built around that, it's my friends, and it's kind of a greater family, and it just keeps giving all the time for me. And why would I not do that? It's
okay. Well, then why would you not do it? So why should somebody else go snowboarding? Or if someone hasn't been snowboarding for a while, like a lot of people, like we're of that generation where people got into it, like 90s, early 2000s, people got into it. But obviously now they reached a point where they had kids and maybe have drifted away, and they might be looking at it again and thinking they were good times, I should get back to that. What would you say to those people? Or if someone's not seen the mountains before, why should they go snowboarding?
Yeah, I think just the environment is pretty amazing. It's pretty inspiring area to be in, the mountains, isn't it? I mean, I think of here when I'm up in Tignes and just looking around, like the view is just bonkers, and just being in everything is so massive. It's massive part of nature, these huge peaks, everything is dramatic, and being in that it pulls you away from a lot of stuff going on, and maybe in your real life that can, we all have stresses coming from different places in our real life. It can definitely, it pulls you away from that and pulls you into the moment, for sure. Even just being in that environment, I think if you haven't done it, learning new skills is just brilliant. No matter what age, in fact, more so as we get a bit older, challenging yourself and putting yourself into an environment that's pushing you and engaging your brain, engaging you physically as well, and learning new things is super, super important for us. It definitely keeps me young in my mind, and I like to think in my body. So if you haven't tried it, coming out and challenging yourself to that in that environment. And then if you haven't done it in a while, just coming back out, and we just spoke then about riding in a crew and having that rush of adrenaline and enjoying being in that moment with good friends around you is like, it gives so much back to you and so much energy to you. And I think you always leave the mountain tired. You've been riding, but you have this, and you're energized because it's just brought so much joy to you, and I think you got to get out and do these things. For me, it's meditative as well. It pulls me away from all the other stuff that's going on in my life, which I have to engage in, obviously, when I get back to the house, and you crack on with that. But for those moments, whether I'm riding with mates or riding on my own, I'm not thinking about anything that's stressing me out. And it makes you realize sometimes that stuff isn't so stressful, you know.
Well, there you go. As I said to him after he said that in the interview, I think the way he summed it up is probably the way I would sum it up if someone was interviewing me about snowboarding. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that chat with Owain, somebody that I hadn't met until I was in Tignes earlier on this winter out of the Dragon Lodge for the first week of the season. And yeah, as I said at the top of the show, just someone whose riding is just, I haven't really seen him hit jumps and stuff, but I'm sure he's pretty tidy, but just cruising the piece. He's got such a smooth style. I found I was trying to take the lines that he was doing and trying to make it look like him, because it was just really, really proficient snowboarding. I don't know if that's the way, just beautiful snowboarding. I hate to sound like an idiot, but yeah, just he's got draws the best lines down the mountain, and I want some of that. And well, firstly, thank you, Owain, for your time and for your inspiration in snowboarding and for telling your story. And also, Owain is going to be joining us on the camp in March, the Thank You Snowboarding Community Building Camp, the extremely long title for what is essentially a camp. He's going to be joining us for some coaching for our guests early on in the week, so that you've got the rest of the week to build on what he's pointing out to you about your riding. So the idea is that everyone gets a little bit better. Everyone gets something that unlocks the next level of their snowboarding. So we'll come back to the camp in a minute, but I just wanted to mention that I'm really pleased that he's going to be joining us. As he talks about, he does some work with Jenny Jones on her workshops and does coaching for the armed forces. And yeah, stoked he's going to be joining us, but stoked to hear his story. Basically, I've been sort of trying to show a few people who have made lives in the Alps, but not just sort of jobbing their way through doing whatever, actually carving out a career that something meaningful for them as well as snowboarding, whether that's to do with snowboarding or whether, in the case of Hannah Duncalf, you know, something that's kind of related, but like yoga, wellness, all that stuff. I think it's important, if you want to do a season, to know that you can actually carve a career, and especially, you know, even more so now with, you know, kind of digital tools. And I mean, I couldn't move, it'd be hard work for me to move my studio over there, but you know, you can go and live in these places and create a meaningful, not just a subsistence living, but you can actually create a meaningful career for yourself as well as snowboarding, which I think is really, really interesting. And so I wanted to highlight a few people that have been doing that, because these people, they are part of the snowboarding culture. You might not know their names, but they certainly contribute to people having a better time on their snowboard. They contribute to the wider culture of good people in the mountains that you might interact with when you go out there, which is so, so important. So, yeah, thank you, Owain, for your time. Look forward to seeing you in March on the Thank You Snowboarding Camp. Before we get into that, though, firstly, congratulations to Kate Cheney. I know her as Kate Bastow. She is organising the camp with me. She used to work with me at the Chill Chalet. She has just had a baby last week. She's had her first baby. And we welcome Freddie Cheney to the world. Sending my love. I'm sure all our listeners, all the listeners out there will join me in sending her and her partner and little baby Freddie all our love and best wishes for the future. Does mean that she won't actually be able to make it out on the camp for various reasons, but which is a shame. But if all goes well, we'll be obviously doing it again following season, in which case I hope we can get a little Freddie on a little riglet board and have another shredder in the gang. So congratulations to you, Kate. Sending love. Want to mention the Snowboard Asylum. They look after us here at this podcast. They've got a couple of things going on. They've got a test day up at Aviemore this weekend. So if you're listening to this on the 30th of January, this weekend coming, 31st and the 1st of February, and I know that because it's fill in your tax return weekend. If you are in the Cairngorms or can get to the Cairngorms, I think they have plenty of snow. The funicular is open. The TSA are going to be up there. I think the big man Jeremy Sladen's going to be there with a whole bunch of kit that you can go and try out. Big weekend for them. And if you are in fancy trying out some new boards and speaking to the people who know what's up, then go and see them. And then next week on the 5th of February, they are doing a celebration of RP Roberts. You will have seen some of his paintings on Jones snowboards and Jones outerwear, actually. I've got a jacket with some of his artwork on it. They're doing an evening with RP Roberts. There's a short film, and there's going to be some snowboard community people up there. It's the 5th of February at the Klettermuseum on 36 Kings Road in London. If you can get yourself up there. Think it's kind of early evening business, so it's not a crazy night out. Well, it could turn into a crazy night out. If I can, I'm going to make it out for that if next week isn't looking too hectic. Yeah, his artwork is beautiful, and I think he's doing some sort of lithograph thing, so you can kind of take something home with you as well. So that could be really interesting. If you are in London and you like the artwork on the Jones snowboards, then I think that's a free event. Get yourself along. Might see you there. What else? Mia Brooks, X Games gold and bronze. I mean, she didn't go to the Lax Open. I'm guessing trying to manage burnout at this time of year with the Olympics approaching. So dropping one big competition would seem like the likeliest thing. I spoke to Nige just before they went out to the X Games. He was going out there as well. I mean, she looks pretty calm and comfortable and relaxed on her snowboard at the moment, right? I mean, that run just looks like she was doing it in her sleep. I think that is what one of the commentators said, but I mean, she makes it look so easy. I do watch some of the competitions, and the riding standard is so good across everyone. I kind of miss the days of looking for somebody who looks like it's all or nothing, like shit or bust. I kind of, like the sort of snowboarding where you're like, this is either going to be the most awesome thing ever landed, or it's going to be a spectacular fail. I kind of miss that, but I mean, the athletes at the level now are just so good and so dialed in. But yeah, Mia's riding just unbelievable, and a well-deserved X Games gold in slopestyle, bronze in big air, which is quite interesting. The girl who won, is it Coco Morace? I don't know, something like that. Was it 1620? Was it a triple? I mean, that's coming out swinging, and if she can put that into a slopestyle run, then that might start putting some pressure on Mia. But I guess Mia's dragged up snowboarding, so she's responsible for the level of women's snowboarding getting so high. So I guess it's only natural that some other riders are going to come along and start throwing down too. So yeah, the Olympics is going to be an interesting one to watch out for, I think. Represented to us on our terrestrial TVs by Tim and Ed and Jenny, which will be great to see. Amy Fuller also on the X Games coverage. Quite interesting to see her kind of doing the media thing. Amy Fuller, UK snowboarder. Don't think she made an Olympics. But she was in the commentary box when Jenny won her bronze famously as well. Looking very glam these days. A lot of onesies. Anyway, shout out to you all. If you're representing snowboarding, then well done. Keep doing it the right way. Don't want to turn into some sort of circus. What else is going on? So I've told you about the TSA. So the camp, basically, the camp is something that's kind of looming large in my mind, just because we're starting to work on it quite a lot, organising stuff. There are a few spaces left. We put up a video on the Instagram in the week that shows some of the accommodation. Chalet Flocon, the chalet we have got, is looking so good. I can't wait to spend a week there. It's gonna be so cool. It's this beautiful chalet. It's got views over the Tarentaise valleys from the big living room. It's got a hot sauna and a hot tub. You'll be staying in twin rooms. It's all rather beautiful, really. And Le Coche, where we're based, is right in the heart of the Paradis Ski, next to the Vanoise Express, which takes you across to Les Arcs. So basically, every day we've got the option, and you don't have to spend all day in one, and you don't have to spend all day in the other, but you can certainly, we'll certainly be able to get around. I mean, just the plan area on its own is so good. And obviously I know the Les Arcs area like the back of my hand, because I used to live there. Ran the chalet there for years and years, which me and my wife were just reminiscing about, actually. So yeah, just the area is incredible. It's going to be so fun. Been picking up a few little gifts that our guests are going to get. We've got obviously the board that I made down at Duke Snowboards, going to be giving that away in some capacity. We've got Max and a whole bunch of stuff from Burton for you to try out. He's going to be on hand all week. We're going to do waxing workshops. If you've never serviced your board before, I'm going to show you how to do that, so that'll save you money in the future. We've got Owain. He's going to be joining us for some coaching. That is going to be amazing. He can definitely take a look at my snowboarding. I mean, I just taught myself and have just always never had anyone look at my snowboarding and give me any tips about how it can be better. So I'm really looking forward to that, because everyone can do with a little tip, little thing to unlock the next level. I'm certainly going to be up for that. It's going to be good home cooked food. 6 nights, 6 days, full Paradis Ski pass included in the price. Duncan Wright, the filmer for the Reason magazine, he's been making all our Instagram clips and stuff. He's going to be on hand filming all week, so you can actually, to do with the coaching, we can actually analyze afterwards, video analysis. We analysed, that's an old joke that we used to talk about in Bourg. Yeah, there's going to be clips. We're going to film stuff for the socials, but also to have for content for later on. Yeah, just the whole thing. It's actually it's going from like a nice idea into reality now, and I'm really starting to look forward to it. I haven't got any other trips planned. So beginning of December, now sort of wait until the end of March, feels like a long time. But it'll come around soon enough, and I can't wait to be out there snowboarding with all you lot who are booked on. And if you want to come, there are a few spaces left, but don't sleep. I think, as we're talking about like the end of the month, obviously January's payday's coming up, I think those spaces are going to go. So if you are thinking about it, do get in touch, reserve your space right now. The music from this, for Owain's episode, is the Butthole Surfers, and it was in the film The Resistance, which is the Forum movie, and actually no one's had any music out of that yet, so that'll be up on our YouTube channel. I've got all the old episodes up to date as well, so the YouTube channel is firing on all cylinders. The Forum movie, The Resistance, if you haven't seen that, that is one of the seminal kind of team snowboarding movie. When Forum came out and they dropped that video, that was a real statement of, you know, like, we've got the best riders, you're all now playing catch up. So yeah, go over to the YouTube channel, have a watch of that. That's going to be, that'll certainly kill half an hour of whatever afternoon you're listening to this. Leave it till Friday afternoon, pretend to your boss that you're doing some work and watch some snowboard videos instead. All right, I think I've rambled on long enough, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, snowboarding@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch and tell me anything, if you want to send me any pictures for us to put up on our Instagram, please do. That is Thank You Snowboarding Podcast on Instagram. The YouTube is just look for Thank You Snowboarding. And all these things will be in the show notes down below from wherever you are looking at this podcast. All right. I think that's it for this week. We'll be back next week in the middle of doing loads of interviews with people. Got some really interesting guests coming up. If you haven't listened, go back to episode 1 and work your way through. There's so many good guests, so many good memories about British snowboarding. You'll be very pleased you listened to them all. All right. I'm out. See you next week. Thank you, snowboarding. Peace.